Housekeeping may be considered an unappealing topic to many people, but we should realize that housekeeping is closely tied to many important aspects of manufacturing. For example, we should understand the linkage between the level of housekeeping and the amount of scrap, number of machine breakdowns, safety, morale, and level of improvement. The fundamental question may be, do we care enough about housekeeping? For example, managers who pay no attention to trash scattered around the factory will influence people differently than those who pick up trash. Before thinking whose responsibility is it to clean up the floor, we should realize that housekeeping is everybody's job. If we have a messy factory, how can we imagine that quality products are going to be produced from such an environment? How can we imagine that the production schedule will be met without any delays? Would all machines function as required in such a factory? Would people be interested in their job and have a good attendance record? And how about safety? Housekeeping is a fundamental discipline and not necessarily an easy subject to tackle. Yet if we circumvent this and use sophisticated machines such as robots or the like, it is almost the same as building a house without a foundation.
Right now I'm in the Focus Factory bathroom, and it's kept pretty clean, and I was wondering why we can't keep the shop area clean. We have a lot of oil spills, coolant, water spills. I would feel better if it was fixed, feel more proud of my work when you're working in a clean atmosphere.
At a Canadian tire plant, for example, after spending $25,000 on new tiling, lights, sinks, and floor, the bathroom turned out to be a spotless area. Even after 5 years, the whole room has always been kept clean, in spite of the fact that they work with carbon black in this factory. People's attitudes have improved dramatically, along with an improvement in quality, machine maintenance, and productivity. Plus, if we are creative, we may be able to fix such problems without spending any money. Housekeeping is not just cleaning tables, chairs, aisles, and bathrooms. We need to look after machines, tools, and fixtures as well. The basic principle is to have those who are nearest to the situation practice the housekeeping.
So you think everyone should practice housekeeping?
Yes, since everyone is a potential source of poor housekeeping habits, we should all take responsibility.
Does that mean then that janitors are now unnecessary?
Their role may have to change. If we take care of each area, we don't have to wait for the janitor because the area is kept clean. This is simply to prevent problems from happening at the source.
It sounds like you are asking for people's roles to change as improvements are made.
As we improve, our role will change, or will have to change. Otherwise, we will be pulling behind the progress of our society. Anyway, since I talk so much about the bathroom, a group in one company gave me this toilet bowl cleaner. You see my name inscribed here?
Oh, yes, I certainly do. Well, this is quite an honor. But what are the key approaches to good housekeeping?
You can focus your activities on such areas as one bathroom or one area at first, so that you see a vivid change. This will impress itself on people's minds and make them think about housekeeping. Or if managers are fully committed, you can start with a plant-wide campaign.
In any case, we need to involve people.
Yes, we need to practice this not because an important person is coming, but because it has an important impact on the business and, of course, personal pride.
Housekeeping is closely tied to better organization. The point is that floors and machines need not be cleaned for the sake of appearance. Clean surfaces expose problems, such as oil leaks and cracks, so that corrective action can be taken as early as possible. Similarly, in organizing dies or tools, it does not make much sense to nicely orient the dies or tools in a rack if the most frequently used dies are stored the farthest away from the machine. Housekeeping and workplace organization have an economic meaning. The following are suggested steps for workplace organization. Just as we take showers regularly, our factory should go through the steps of workplace organization every so often to keep the factory in its best condition. 1. Separate the things that are necessary to use for work every day from those that are not. 2. Use disposal notice cards as appropriate to eliminate unnecessary goods from the factory. By looking at this card, people who can use these goods can claim them before disposal. 3. After removing unnecessary goods from the shop floor, the next step is to better organize the workplace. The motto is, of course, a place for everything and everything in its place. Some examples. Racks and storage areas are marked and positioned considering their use. Lines are clearly drawn to distinguish work areas from pathways. Names of the work areas, storage areas, parts, dies, tools, and the like are clearly displayed. Color coding is effectively used to convey the points easily, helping to ensure that everyone understands. Tools, fixtures, gauges, and bolts have their designated areas. Forklifts, die carts, and pallets have their designated areas. Raw materials, parts, in-process inventories, and finished goods have their designated areas. The idea here is that when something is misplaced or not properly done, such abnormalities should be immediately exposed to everyone's eyes to generate quick corrective action. This concept is called visual control, emphasizing the use of everyone's eyes in controlling our workplace. In order to practice and keep up the good discipline of workplace organization, periodic review and education are necessary. An approach is to have people tour the plant, evaluating each zone or department according to a predetermined set of criteria. Posting pictures of good and bad housekeeping practices from the shop with little comments and giving awards for good housekeeping may be effective ways to communicate the importance of housekeeping.
Department of the Month was one of the first things we did to try to clean up and organize the shop. It got some competition among the departments. They all wanted to have the cleanest areas, and that has just carried on over the last 4 years to give FMI a good appearance out in the shop with good painted machines, nice looking floors that you could almost eat off of, and people are proud of their working area now. And it doesn't take a lot of time just to quickly clean up their area after a work day, maybe 5-10 minutes. And you know, compared to having to scrape the floors up in the beginning, it would take days to clean it up, whereas just a little maintenance every day keeps it looking great. And people have pride in their workplace. They don't let scrap stay in one place for 5 minutes. They'll pick it right up, and I try to show that by when I'm walking around picking up scrap whenever I can, and it just gives people a lot better image and self-image about their workplace.
And these pictures we take them every month to see how our departments are going, and that helps us to see in which areas we need to concentrate more, as we can compare from one month to the other month as how many improvements we have done to improve those areas. We take pictures and show them we post them on a bulletin board so the employees can see them, and they can see where they work in their areas, and so they can see if they can organize them better.
We take pictures of our shop monthly to show that our objective is to show some constructive criticism of the good and bad things we do. This will trigger the people to see things that we cannot see when we are in the workstation. And by showing in the picture, sometimes we come up with different ideas from different departments.
A company called Inducto Heat in Detroit has a lot to tell about housekeeping and workplace organization. The company produces a line of induction heating equipment.
And some of the improvements that we have made here in the way of house cleaning are mainly to make it easy for all the people to clean up, try to put all the materials that they need close at hand, and we allow 10 minutes or so at the end of each day for everyone to clean up. Cleaning up has been a big help to us, because by having a clean floor, you can see excess material that's left laying around, or anything that's that shouldn't be there as waste. We have built these mobile work tables, which we can carry our tools to right to the job site. These tables have some of the tools that our assemblers would not normally supply, such as a torch, vices, drill press, have clamps, pipe wrenches, the welder. By bringing these to the job site, the individual doesn't have to carry parts away to a remote work center. This speeds up our assembly time, and each of our tools are color-coded with the table so they can be returned to the proper location at the end of the shift.
There are many other examples of such improvements at Inducto Heat. Before, all fasteners were kept in the stockroom, since fasteners were ordered through a card system and the person looking at the cards didn't look at the rack. Quite often, fastener stock ran out. Now they are visually controlled by the floor leader. The yellow line and number on the floor helps organize work areas. Each individual has a specified numbered area that he or she is responsible for, and all tools and materials are kept in this area. Cleaning utensils are kept handy in each area also, and each is marked with a number corresponding to the work area. In order to keep prints handy, there are dedicated print stands, which are stored out of the way when not being used. Rather than using a lift truck, there are caster wheels and hand lifts that allow people to move heavy equipment around easily. With this simple improvement, the people doing the work don't have to waste time sitting around waiting for a lift truck to move something for them. Also, aisle space was then reduced, since caster wheels and hand lifts don't require as much space as lift trucks. Before, this area right along the wall was a place where clutter or unused parts would collect. After the change, the same area is used to measure off wire stored on large spools. The rack holding the spools is adjustable for length, and the measurement numbers are painted on the wall. Before, electrical cords were often ruined by chips on the floor cutting into the insulation because of people stepping on them or running over them with something heavy. After the change, these cords are brought down from the ceiling, keeping them off the floor altogether. Before, people were not able to easily identify what stage of development a job was in. Thus, a scheduling board was installed. Now, any person can look at the board and see the status of a job. This eliminated much confusion, as well as disruptions to the other workers.
So we started with some of the basic elements of improving our conditions here with the just-in-time philosophy of communicating better with the people, bringing the people into the decision-making process, having the people make recommendations to us. And little by little, we found that productivity was increasing. Our primary goal was to become a little more efficient, make it a better place to work, and be able to increase the communication better. One of the interesting things when you start doing something like we have just done or we're working on is the reaction of people. The first reaction many times is that it is negative. For instance, we have the tools organized with a board with marking the tools out. The first comments that you generally get is, well, that's a waste of time. Everybody knows where the pliers go or the pipe wrench goes or something like this. It takes a great deal of hard work to convince people, and really what management job is in this type of a situation is to be the salesman. You have to sell to people, and once they find out that it makes their life much easier, then you find the cooperation getting more and more. You can find the people wanting to become part of this program because it makes them feel like winners. So as we progress along, what we're finding is that one of the primary contributors to some of our manufacturing problems was that it required us, before a great staging period of time. We would buy the materials and we would stage it for a month or 2 months prior to assembly. Once we became more and more enmeshed into the philosophy of just-in-time, we started asking our vendors to deliver their products to us on a very close time frame before we started a custom job. Over the past 2 years, we have received great cooperation from our vendors, and we asked them to meet a 2-week time frame. And essentially our philosophy is now we start absolutely no job without 100% of the materials here. That has increased the productivity enormously. In the process, it came as somewhat of a surprise, very frankly, to us that the 100,000 square feet of manufacturing area that we're using at that point in time was really unnecessary. Now, fortunately for us, we had 2 buildings. So it was very easy for us in 1983-84 to decide to eliminate one of the buildings. So we sold the 50,000 square foot building, and in the process made about $600,000 on the sale.
As more space became available and better supplier cooperation established, lead times were improved dramatically. Even with the custom-made machinery they produce, the lead time was cut approximately in half.
Now, all of this improvement was not without problems. And it is interesting that in this process that we have discovered that most problems are really good problems because they lead to further and continuous improvement. So we don't view problems anymore as a negative. We view it as a positive because it gives us an opportunity to, again, improve our manufacturing capabilities. The most difficult problem that we were confronted with was there were some people in management who found this transition to allowing the people on the floor to really run the show very disconcerting and very difficult to deal with. And so as far as the only extreme negative problem we had was this. It took a great deal of time to work through and solve, but it is coming together very well now, and the managers are starting to find out that it is in their best interest to essentially what we call here to be the water boy for the people who are doing the job. And also that the management personnel here are, their compensation, one of their primary review procedures for their compensation is what people, they get rewarded or acknowledged for what they accomplish through other people. That's the primary benefit.
So do you think that you understand why workplace organization is the foundation of all manufacturing activities?
Yes, I think so. In fact, I felt that the story of inducto heat was amazing and that this simple concept and many little improvements have greatly enhanced the company's competitive position.
Yes, that's the power, but it takes time, and it takes people's dedicated efforts to make it happen. Someone said that quality is free. I think workplace organization is free too. All the effort you expend for this will eventually bring you returns, and it is such a nice feeling to work in a well-organized environment.
Well, I guess we want people to feel that their work area is almost like their living room and that their factory bathroom is like their own bathroom at home.
That's right. I think you may also want to remember that shop floor improvements start and end with housekeeping. And the more housekeeping you do, the more waste will surface for you to eliminate, so that you can continue further improvements.
I understand.
And it isn't until you go through and start backtracking and trying to review and look at your history that you find that it brings to mind how great these little small improvements have contributed to the overall success of improvement of manufacturing.